Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm Minimalist Machinist on Instagram, and I'm making some walkthrough videos on how to use Seamly2D pattern making software. Okay, so we've just finished those instructions. We're going to work on to the next one. Okay, so it's I to N is the new strap measurement plus 1/8 of an inch, I to N. So again, we know the length of that line, but we don't know the angle, so I'm going to have to do an arc with the centre point being I. And the radius is going to be that new strap measurement. Next side to waist. Side front plus 1/8 of an inch. First angle is 180, 270, and that's a guideline. Okay, oh, it looks like I've missed squaring up from E at some point. Square up 11 inches from E, so we'll just quickly do that. That R intersects this guideline now, so this is going to give us the point that goes from I to there. Choosing our arc first and then the guideline. It's creating a point along that arc, and we're just going to hold shift down to make sure it intersects. And it's a guideline. And then we're just going to join that line. N to O is the side length, so N to O upwards. It's a guideline. It's called O. N to P, 1 1/4 inch out from N, horizontal line, which we've done so many times already. 1 1/4 inch, may as well use the values I've already got. It's a guideline, P. O to P is the side line length is directed towards the P and ends when it's equal from N to O, so it's probably going to be shorter. But it also needs to make sure it goes along that exact angle. So in order to make sure it matches the angle perfectly, we're going to use the line tool and go from O to P. So we've got a line to copy, a line angle to copy, and then we're going to use our point tool. I'm going to start from O. I can press anywhere here because we're going to set the angle and line with our formulas. So length of the line, now this is an interesting one. We're going to match the length of N to O, and we could put the formula in again from N to O, which was the side length, but what we want to do is just match what's already there. So the length of a line from N to O. So it's going to match it perfectly. Now the angle we also need to match from O to P, so we're going to go into our formulas. We need the angle of the line, O to P. And we're going to call it P2. Draw a line from P to F. I think this is a guideline again. P2 to F2. And that's a guideline. So we're moving on to the next set of instructions now. P to Q is the wasted arc plus 1/4 inch ease less the length of B to F that we've already drawn. First thing first, we're going to draw a line from B to F2, which is the squared down. And that's a guideline. You have to have done these things in a certain order in order for the formulas to pick them up. In order to know what length the line is, it needs to already be there. So make sure you're adding lines between points before you then go on to try and use them as formulas. Oh, so it's along the P to F line, P2. I'm going to aim it towards F2, it doesn't really matter because we're going to set the angle perfectly. The length is a tricky one. It's the waist arc front. Mine's the whole amount, so I'm going to do it in half. Plus 1/4 inch ease, so we can put all that in brackets as well. So within that bracket it's working out my waist arc and halving it, and then within this bracket it's saying that plus 1/4 inch, and then it needs to subtract the part of the line that's already been made, so that's going to be B to F2. So we just need to go to length of lines, B to F2, and we're minusing that, so it leaves us with this amount, and that's going to be the length of the line from P to Q. And we need to make sure the angle's perfect, so we need to choose the angle of a line that's already there, and that's P2 to F2. That is a guideline because we're going to have to curve it later, I think, so I'll just save that. And we're going to call it Q. Dart legs. Draw a line from K to F and measure it. Don't need to measure it because we're going to have it automatically. K to F2. Because that's the squared down. This is a guideline because I think the dart legs are made smaller. K to F. Draw a dart leg from K through Q equal to K to F. We need to have one from K to Q to be able to work from. That's a guideline. And then we need to do one from K. Click that off anyway because we're making sure it matches that completely. We need to find the length of the line K to F2. We want to make sure it's the same length as that, and we want to make sure it's the angle of the line that we just drew in, K to Q. So the angle of the line K to Q. Label as R. So it's making sure it goes through Q. To do the dart point, we need to centre a point from 5/8 inch down from the bust point and then redraw those dart legs from that point to F and R. The way we do that is we use this bisector and we select the first point, the middle point, third point, and it creates a line right down the middle of those, and it needs to be 5/8 of an inch, I think it was. So I can just do 5 times 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to label that as K2. Joining points that already are created, so you're going from K2 to F2, and that's going to be a black line, and K2 to R, which is going to be a black line because it's the edge of our bodice. Draw slight curved lines from B to F and R to P. So it's B to F2 and R to P2 actually. So curved line, and because it's only 2 points, you just use simple curve, and I draw it as I point it, so you'll see what I mean. So B, and before I let go of F, I kind of start drawing it. Usually if you start drawing it, you can kind of get it a little bit, you can get your handles ready, these little red handles, you see the little circles that you can pull it along to make the curve a little bit neater. Now this is never going to be accurate because a French curve, you can't draw a French curved curve, if that makes sense, so you're going to have to do this in toiling once you've printed it out and everything, but it gives you a bit of an idea. So there's one of the curves. I'm going to do the same on this. We're on the next set of instructions now. So armhole, draw armhole curve with rule touching GM and the square line. Now this is a personal fit thing because my boob point is so low. This point L to M, which is exactly half of D to J, and J is equal to my bust depth. My boobs are really low, so I feel like this M for me is quite low. For everyone else it'll be a little bit higher, and you see how mine is lower than my O point, and whereas in this it's higher than the O point. This is because it presumes your boob point is a little bit higher than mine. Mine are really low, like I said. My armhole always looks a bit weird. Now for this purpose I'm going to make this a little bit higher up so you can see where the curve might actually work. I'm going to just divide that by 3 and move the whole thing up. Rather than it being half, I'm going to move it up a little bit higher so it looks a bit more like the diagram, just for the purposes of this. And also look across the chest of mine, comes out further than my shoulder, and on this it doesn't. This is all personal fit stuff, so I would have to mess about with this to make it right for my body, because my body doesn't fit in the exact same pattern shape as the book does. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter just so you can see me draw the curve a bit easier. So now mine's shorter than the shoulder point. I always get this problem because of my boobies. So what you need to do is draw a curved path for this one. You can draw it as you're placing the points, so you can do G as your start point, and when you get to M you'll start drawing the line. You see I've not let go yet. I've let go, and I'm going to do my third point now, and then I can carry on drawing it before I let go as well. This is my preferred method of doing it because it just makes a more smooth curve, but you can then enter to finish. And then it gets you to do the same thing again. So draw a curve from I to D, passing inside the angle line by 1/8 of an inch, and that's this side. This is only a 2-point curve, so you can go back to this one. I to D, and then before I let go, I kind of just like draw this out. And I'm going to eyeball where it goes to 1/8 of an inch over here. So I'm just going to do that and then let go. And that is it. That's your front bodice piece. I'm going to do the walkthrough for the back pattern piece and then hopefully show you how to add seam allowances and get it ready for printing out and things like that. But I'm also going to do the walkthroughs for those 2 other books that I have on hand as well, just to show you how the tools might differ. But hopefully that's got you started and it's a little less intimidating, and I'll be back with another video soon.